What is up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be doing a review of 4 different types of flooring that we consider for the house, and then tell you why we chose the one we did. Yeah, let's get into it. So we'll be looking at Proximity Mills, which is a nice high-end flooring. We will be looking at this Floor & Decor NuCore Performance Plus flooring, which has a titanium coating. We've got this brand from Karndean, as well as this brand from Flooret. And so we looked at all of these and a couple others as well, and ultimately we ended up choosing the NuCore Performance Plus. So spoiler alert a little bit, but let's go ahead and go through why we chose this one as opposed to all these others. You'll see probably several reviews online of some of these other ones, and none of them are necessarily bad flooring. Maybe some of them are slightly bad flooring, but most of them are pretty good flooring. But I'll tell you why we chose the one we did for us. I've got a couple of tools here that we'll be using to conduct the test. We first have a butter knife. We have a screwdriver. We have a high heel shoe and a trusty utility knife. And so I'll try to show you really the most important thing for us, which was the scuff test. And so this is a fairly undamaged piece of the Proximity Mills flooring. And we'll go ahead and just take a butter knife to it, which it could represent furniture or something going across the floor. And you can see, even with just a butter knife, you can already see all of the dust on the butter knife. If I give it a little bit of a side, hopefully you can see that in the camera. There already is like a scratch. Like it's very visible. You can feel it to the touch. And so this flooring, we have pets. My wife loves to drag furniture across the floor. We knew that this flooring was not going to be a good choice for us. In addition, one of the things that's really important about this flooring is the tongue and groove system. And so you can see, if I put a little pressure, this one's pretty good compared to some of the others, but it snaps reasonably easily. Some of these others snap really easily. This one's actually stronger than a lot. This one's probably one of their stone composite flooring. But the big thing for us was just the scratching, right? You can see how quickly that scratched and really was not going to be viable for us. So next up is Flooret. So Flooret, this is a really cool company. They make these very large format tiles, which we really liked. They've got this nice rubber backing, really nice tongue and groove system. You can see the tongue and groove pretty strong, but also, not putting as much force, and it's definitely snapping there. Is that a problem in a real situation? I don't know, but certainly the stronger it seems like it's going to be better. The other thing about the flooring is, it's probably hard to see on camera, but it's got this really deep texture on it, which feels really good to the touch and looks really nice from far, but at certain angles and certainly up close, it really looks like plastic and really has like a very kind of fake look to it. It looks like almost those holographic cards that you kind of wave back and forth and they do little hologram kind of things. It kind of has that effect to it. And so that was one thing that kind of drew us away from this one a little bit. But then the other one is also, right, the scratch test. So if we take a butter knife to it, you can see already, right, very simple to scratch this. I haven't even got to like any real things, but like you look at that, like huge scratches in here pretty much immediately. Also feel it to the touch. You wipe it off, it doesn't really go away. And so you just see scratches on this flooring all the time if you were dragging furniture or anything across the floor. Even a high heel, let's see. High heels are probably fine, right? They're plastic, right? They're not going to really be able to really damage something that well with a plastic high heel. But certainly with anything that's even remotely sharp, corner of a piece of furniture or something like that, a dresser, or even just, you imagine a rock or something on the floor that gets dragged under a box, right? Can easily scratch it. And because we live out here in the country, we expected lots of dirt and rocks and things that into the house. And so again, this one wasn't really a good choice for us. And so let's look at Karndean. So you can see on Karndean, there are kind of a couple of varieties with different thicknesses from this one, which is, a pretty flimsy low-end tile. For some applications, this might make a lot of sense. For us, we didn't think it was going to be the right choice. It just not feel right for us on the floor. We do a scratch test. Again, you can see, this one's a little bit better in some regards. Doesn't scratch quite as easy as some of those other ones, but you can still see it scuffing pretty easily with, not very sharp butter knife. And pretty much all of their floors are pretty much the same. So you move up and you know, on the darker floors, you can easily see the scratches. This one's a slightly higher end because they use like a 3-layer system where it's that first layer, which is basically this, on top of foam, on top of rubber, but they're all pretty much the same. This one's more of their stone composite. You can see this one, you know, it breaks real easily. This delaminates, scratches really easily as well. So I saw lots of reviews for this. I was hopeful, but really not a very good piece of flooring. And then we get to the Floor & Decor NuCore Performance Plus. And this is the one that we chose. And I'm gonna go ahead and take a butter knife to it. And we're gonna, you know, really try and like, you can just like, there's basically no scratch on there at all, right? And it's like, this stuff is really, really strong. You know, there's absolutely nothing on there. Even before, I took a razor blade and like, you can kind of scratch it with a razor blade, but this is brand new. And like, even then, like, you really got to try. And here, like, it's very, very scratch resistant. The other thing is that the tongue and groove system here, if I go to snap it, like, I really got to put, I don't know if I can do it with my thumbs. It is really strong flooring. And so that was why we chose the NuCore Performance flooring. With that said, let me tell you about some of the things that we didn't expect when we purchased this flooring, and some of the things that you'll want to be careful of when you're having this flooring installed, because if it's not installed perfectly, you will notice it. So I'm going to take you over to a few spots on our floor where this wasn't installed quite perfectly, and talk about what that did to the flooring. All right, so we're here in the hallway, and I just wanted to show you one area where flooring was not quite installed perfectly, and because it wasn't installed perfectly, and the tolerance on this particular flooring is very, very tight because it's such a rigid flooring, but it's also got a very small tongue and groove. What happens is if these things don't get locked up perfectly, and you probably can't even see it on camera, right? And even in person, it's very hard to see, but what you can do is you can feel it with your feet. Which maybe for most people doesn't bother you, but there is a very small difference in elevation here because these were not locked in perfectly. So this tongue didn't slip into this groove perfectly. And it's very hard. You can't really get it to move anymore. Whereas this one is perfect, right? This one's like perfectly flush, feels fantastic. This one has like a little bit of a bulge in here. And so a couple of things that I might do differently next time is, one, we used a plastic underlayment in this floor for a vapor barrier, even though there's a cork backing, and it's a cement foundation, there's plastic under the foundation, all that kind of thing. I think I might skip the vapor barrier next time, or make sure that vapor barrier is just perfectly smooth and flat. We have some spots where, you know, it comes in a roll, it's all folded up. When you unfold it, it has a tendency to bundle and bunch in a couple of areas. And with this particular flooring, I think that a little bit of variation was enough to get the flooring to not quite sit properly. And every single one of these tiles was really like tamped in with a tamping block, and really, we tried really hard to get all of these things locked in perfectly. I'd say like 95% of flooring is perfect. It's awesome. But there's a couple of spots where it's not, and they bug me. They probably shouldn't, but they do. The other thing I'll point out, and we have one tile here where this happened, is you know, these things are very, very strong. I'd say the weakest point is definitely on these click lock edges here. And again, because the tolerance is so tight, and the ways that these work is they kind of slide in, they click down. If you're off even by like a millimeter here and you go to tamp this down, you can definitely break this piece. It's pretty tough, but you definitely want to make sure that these things are really locked together where they're supposed to go. Because if you don't, you can definitely damage some of the tiles, and getting them up once they're put down, especially if you've gone over and added a bunch more rows, is very difficult compared to traditional laminate or something like that. So those are things that I'd say to keep an eye out for as the install is happening. But overall, I'd say we're very happy with the flooring. It looks great. It feels great. We have not seen any scratches so far. The dogs come in wet and muddy. They make a mess. It cleans up great. And so overall, we're really happy with this flooring. I would definitely buy it again. I'd say just make sure on the install, just make sure the installer's taking their time and doing everything well, so that the floor is in great shape. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you like this content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. We'll be having more content like this, things like projects around the house. We're going to be reviewing our Roborock vacuum, and just lots of other things, woodworking projects, metalworking projects. So if you like those types of content, go ahead and hit the subscribe and the like button below. Appreciate it, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks.